Hello, witchers and mages. Be here. First of all, I want to talk about the IP. And I became familiar with the IP through the books. So I'm currently reading the books. Absolutely love the books. And what the books introduced to me is a whole group of monsters I didn't know existed from Poland. And I liked Poland already because that is the country where they love Chuck Norris. So they had me already with that. Then I watched the show on Netflix, and I'm so sad that Henry Cavill is not part of it anymore. I felt like the way I got inside the Witcher's head in the book, Henry Cavill played that part perfectly. He obviously knew what he was doing. And it seems like he's intensely studies any role that he plays. So he's so good. So I haven't brought myself to watch season 3 yet. I will, but I got to get over, I'm crying inside about Henry Cavill not being a part of it. That being said, I'm so excited to see what he does with Warhammer, because that's another game that I play. The game, I've never played, I'm going to reveal right now, I've never played any of the Witcher games. I've had a lot of people describe the games to me and they sound great, but I'm kind of a one game man. I'm kind of a World of Warcraft commercial guy, or retail, I guess they call it. That's it. All right, we have a house rule here that when we cook a recipe, and you'll see where I'm going with this in a minute. When we cook a recipe, we always follow the rule. We follow the recipe exactly the first time we make it. The same thing with board games. I like to try to follow the rules exactly. Now, albeit I made a lot of mistakes playing the game. I was playing it wrong at first, but I learned as the guy on Organic Cardboard learns by playing it. So I make mistakes and then I go back and read the rules again and make mistakes and go back and read the rules again. And that's the process in which I learn how to play the game correctly. So I'm going to play it through as correct as I can, one round, and I'm currently still doing that. And then I'm going to make lots of modifications to the game. Now, I don't agree with the reviews that say that the card game, the deck building part of the game is lame or whatever. I don't feel like that because it's so much more than a deck building game, and that's unfair to say that. It's a miniatures game, and it's a map game, and it's a choices game, and it's got so much more to it than just a deck building game. So I think that the way the deck building game is played, I think is perfect, and it's gonna really work for me for the modifications that I'm gonna describe. So the first modification I'm gonna make is I am gonna have a Witcher or a Mage, when they lose a fight, they die. They are out of the game. Because that, to me, is more realistic. You don't survive a battle with a Witcher or a Mage. You're cut into pieces by a Witcher, or you're lying in a smoking, charred hump if you battle a Mage and lose. So that's the way I'm going to play it. I play all the Mages and all the Witchers at once. So as these guys lose or girls lose, they are going to be dropping out of the game. The next change that I'm going to make is I don't like, and a reviewer stated this already, I don't like the fact that when you draw a card for the wilds or the cities, and I agree that it doesn't matter which you pick, but I love that component of the game, regardless of what I pick. If I haven't done a city for a while, then I do a wild. That's the way I play it. But I want to go to that card and do it immediately, before I forget. I don't want to have to go to that place on the map. Now, I get why they do that, but that's not the way that I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it where it resolves immediately, because I accidentally played it like that and it was a lot more fun the first thing. Then I've ordered the deluxe game just for the miniatures, and my further modifications to the game are really, really heavy. I am going to cut off the part of the board for actions 2 and 3 that hold the cards, and I'm gonna put those aside so I have more room on my table. I'm just gonna have action 1, the map, be on the table. So I'm gonna take a box cutter or whatever and just cut that off my game. Please, please don't do that to your Kickstarter or all-in version, guys. Okay, and I'll talk more about that later in detail. Another modification that I'm going to do is I'm going to have some extra game boards, because I ordered a deluxe version just for the miniatures. I'm going to have an extra set of game boards, 5 game boards for the Witchers. I'm going to cover those over or paint over those and modify them so that I can introduce other miniatures into the game. So I am going to create, and it's, again, one of the reviewers said that the abilities that, the special abilities that they have are weak. I'm okay with that, because I can think of weak abilities and I can think of other names for shields, so that I can play other races in it. I know there's other races in the book, like, of course, elves and dwarves and halflings and probably many others. So I'm going to take figures from other games and play with that. More on that later. So I'll call shield for elves wisp ability to become a wisp. I will call it stone skin for dwarves or whatever. That's what I'll call their defense. And then I'll think of special abilities for them. So these other boards will play like players, and there'll be monsters too. There'll be dragons and there'll be ogres or whatever is actually in the universe, and maybe even some stuff that's not in the universe, but I'll have that coming around trying to kill players. So that'll make the game more dangerous, as the Witcher universe is a dangerous place. Like, few Witchers die in their bed, right? Deluxe version, or Kickstarter version and all-in version. Okay, here I'm going to talk about Witcher investment, and I believe that if you put your money in and you waited a year, please, please don't even open that box. Keep it sealed. That would be like such a good investment if you did that, because it may seem like there's a lot of them right now and a lot of people selling them on eBay and Amazon, but I think that will probably change, and that will become highly, highly desirable. So I don't know what you paid for the Kickstarter. Maybe you want to flip it and get $500 or $600 right now. Them selling for that much doesn't mean that the people are buying them either, right? But I think that they will be worth a lot in the future. One of my biggest regrets is that I didn't buy Shadowmourne, the sword from World of Warcraft, for $300, because now they're reselling it again for $1,500. But I just couldn't get myself to pay $300 for a toy at the time. I'm a different man now. Also, with the Kickstarter and the all-in version, those are beautiful miniatures. I would not paint those. Get yourself some from the deluxe version and paint those. Do not paint those. I don't think that would be a good idea. I don't even think they're going to turn out good because of the way that they're shaded. I was thinking, how would I paint those? And I would actually have to apply some spray paint to them to make them turn out how I wanted. And I was like, that would be totally ruining them because they look so cool right the way they are. So I tried to convince my wife that buying one of those Kickstarter or all-in versions was a good investment or whatever, but she wasn't in agreement with that. She says, and I quote, I see how that's turned out for you before. That's what you always say, like with Magic and everything, and now it's in a bear market, and nobody wants that stuff, right? All that sealed product. So that's what she said. But I know better than to ask her anyways, because she always says no. Cooperative game. Okay, one of the versions of the expansion is a cooperative game, and you can correct me in the comments, but I believe it is Legendary Hunt that changes the game into a cooperative game. I'm all for that. My daughter and I started out playing games like StarCraft or whatever, and we got so mad at each other that we ended up having to play cooperatively because that made more sense as far as our mental state. So my daughter and I, because we're so competitive and we get mad at each other when we play competitively, we decided cooperatively is a good way to play. And probably this video, everything will change once I have that expansion. I have no intention of getting any more expansions. I have the Mage and I have the deluxe version coming today. I have no plans to get any more expansions up quickly. We'll see if I can hold out and not do that. A shout out to Organic Cardboard. Sorry I wanted to do this in the beginning. Maybe I did. But you seem like really great people, and I would love to play The Witcher with you sometime, because I can feel your excitement, and I'm the same way. I'm really excited about that. I also want to mention, I forgot to mention this at the time, and I actually wrote notes. That's why I keep looking over. Miniatures are done, but they're not finished. And I'm sorry I'm not giving you a shout out. I just saw this. One of the content creators told me this. Miniatures can be done where there's paint everywhere and there's no primer showing through. They can be done, but they're never finished. You can, if you want, never be happy with them and always paint over them. And you don't have to worry, as one of the painting channels has told me. Again, I'm sorry, I forgot exactly what channel it is. They tell you, well, don't get the paint too thick on it, it'll obscure the detail. His experience is that's not true. He even buys painted ones that with really thick paint off the eBay and repaints them. And you can always remove the paint, right? And you don't have to worry about using chemicals. Apparently soap and water works well. Rubbing alcohol works well. There's ways to remove the paint if you find that it's obscuring the details. So I am going to have a chance now, because I'm going to use these other boards, and I'm going to have it be like a group of elves or whatever will attack the Witcher, or a group of dwarves attack the Witcher. And that'll give me a chance to repaint those D&D figures from Temple of Elemental Evil and play them in another game and get them painted more the way I want, because I'm starting to advance a little bit in my painting. The main thing for that was getting smaller brushes, right? I was able to do more detail. I'm not very good. It's hard for me to stay in the lines because I'm very shaky, but it's definitely improving. And then those figures will be better for Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer. I'm currently not buying anything from WotC right now. I'm kind of mad at them, but they will see the light and I will go back to them, I'm sure. So thank you, Witchers and Mages. If you stuck with me till the end of the video, I really, really appreciate it. I appreciate all the kind comments. All the comments have been kind, luckily, because I'm certainly a flawed individual. And so Elon Musk has something with that. I don't agree with most of the things he does. well, I don't agree with a lot of the things he does. I agree with quite a lot too, but I like the idea of rebranding X as something that shows our human flaws. I certainly have a lot of them. So hang in there, do what you do. It's a great time to be alive in gaming. Thanks, Witchers and Mages. Bye.